There were 7 people scheduled to be executed in April. Ramael Salholt execution was stayed, 2 warrants were withdrawn in the cases of Andrei Thomas and Ivan Cantu, 1 warrant expired in the case of Aaron Ganches, David Sneed was resentenced to life in prison, the execution of Anthony Sanchez was rescheduled, and Louis Gaskin was executed on April 12th. Louis Bernard Gaskin was born on March 11, 1967. When he was just 22 years old, on the evening of December 20, 1989, Gaskin approached the Palm Coast house of 56-year-old Robert and 55-year-old Georgette Sternfels while armed with a .22 caliber rifle and dressed entirely in black to escape detection. Gaskin went around the house to the back window where Georgette was seated on the sofa and Robert was seated in a recliner. Gaskin pulled the trigger, killing Robert after 5 shots and wounding Georgette once. After the initial shot, Georgette was still alive, so Gaskin reloaded his weapon and shot her once in the head, killing her. A short while later, Gaskin arrived at Joseph and Mary Rector's house in a car. Gaskin shot his rifle into the house while the Rectors were watching television, hitting Joseph. Joseph was able to escape the space. When Gaskin broke the back window, Mary and Joseph took cover in a closet. As they fled to the car, Gaskin opened fire on them from the inside of the house. The Rectors were able to escape to a nearby hospital by getting in their car after all of the shots missed. After the residence was searched by the police, it became obvious that the offender had robbed it. When the murders were made public, Gaskin was almost instantly implicated because his girlfriend's cousin stated that Gaskin had been home shortly after the killings and claimed to be wrapping some presents. On December 30th, Gaskin was taken into custody. He first denied being involved in the killings. He subsequently admitted to the murders though and claimed they were totally random. In a recorded statement, he admitted to having murderous impulses. He directed law enforcement officers to a canal where he had stashed the wallet, credit cards, and other goods. Gaskin's response to the question of why he did it was, "God said no, the devil said yes. The grip of the devil over me was stronger than that of God." In addition, he admitted to the 1986 murder of a co-worker. The presents were found to come from the Sternfels property during a search of Gaskin's house. In July 1990, following a 2-month trial, Gaskin was judged responsible for 2 first-degree murders and 2 attempted murders. He was consequently handed 2 death sentences. From the time of his arrest until his death, which occurred 34 years later, he was detained at the Florida State Prison in Rayford. The execution date for Gaskin was set for April 12, 2023 by Governor Ron DeSantis on March 13th, and since Gaskin was on death row in the state of Florida, he did get to choose the last meal, and we'll see what he asked for in a second.
Louis Gaskin is scheduled to die by lethal injection Wednesday. He was convicted of murdering a Flagler County couple in 1989. Gaskin was dubbed the Ninja Killer after he broke into the home of Robert and Georgette Sternfels while wearing all-black ninja clothing. He shot the couple with a rifle and stole several items, including a clock and video cassette recorder that he planned to give to his girlfriend as Christmas gifts. In the new appeal, Gaskin's attorney writes, because the trial judge and the recommending jury were denied the mitigation that was extant in Mr. Gaskin's case, the recommending jury and the trial court never focused on the unique circumstances of Mr. Gaskin. His deprivation, mental illness, and trauma he suffered was never heard, thus failing to meet the minimum constitutional requirements. This would be the second execution in Florida this year after a long pause dating back to 2019.
Before moving forward, please hit that subscribe button. YouTube analytics showed that only 16.2% of you are subscribed and 83.8% are not. Thank you. According to Department of Corrections spokeswoman Kayla McLaughlin-Smith at a press briefing, Gaskin ate his last meal on Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. after waking up at 4:45 a.m. The meal included barbecue pork ribs, pork and turkey neck, buffalo wings, shrimp fried rice, French fries, and water. Despite having his sister visit him on Wednesday, Gaskin did not see a spiritual advisor, according to Ms. McLaughlin-Smith. The execution, which was scheduled to begin at 6 p.m., was carried out without any issues and was not attended by any family members of the victims. When asked if he had a final statement, Gaskin said, "Justice is not about the crime. It's not about the criminal. It's about the law." He then referred to the legal proceedings surrounding his case and the appeals and finished his statement saying, "Look at my case." At 6:02 p.m., Gaskin was administered the lethal combination of medicines which made him breathe heavily and caused his chest to rise and fall while covered in a white sheet. At 6:05 p.m., the prison warden went to see if Gaskin was still conscious. He remained silent. At 6:07 p.m., Gaskin's breathing seemed to stop. At 6:14 p.m., a doctor checked on Gaskin in the execution chamber before announcing his death a minute later.
I'm independent news services, but I'm going into two radio stations, one in Live Oak and one in Flagler Beach.
And you witnessed this. You've witnessed many of these before.
Yes,
Can you
I have.
tell us how this one played out?
This one played out pretty good. I mean, it was, what's routine mean? He quietly went to sleep and he died.
Can you tell us some of the last words he said?
Basically, he referred to his case that didn't go wrong. He said that basically it's not about the crime or the criminal, it's about the law. And then he asked, the last 4 words of his life was, "Look at my case." In between, it was garbled and the 3 of us couldn't get it down.
Did he appear calm?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he just laid there all through the process. It didn't even look up at the witness list. And usually they'll lift their head and look around, but he didn't even do that.
I know you've covered many of these. Was there anything about this particular execution that stood out, or did this one just seem as textbook as many of the other ones that you've covered?
Well, there were some odd movements involved when they rendered the condemned unconscious. There were some movements that I've not observed before, but nothing out of the ordinary, showing any pain or any difficulty that I could professionally say.
How fast would you say it? I know you had notes in terms of from the time it started at about 6:03 when they administered, I guess, the first injection, till about around 6:15ish or so when they announced that he was.
A very short period of time. He was rendered unconscious, and by 6:08, 6:09, you could see that the drugs were taking effect, and he quickly died.
Did he try to say anything before they administered
No,
the
he
drug?
was really quiet, laid back, didn't look around, he just laid there.
Is that unusual based on the other?
Well, most of the ones that I have observed in lethal executions, using the lethal means, they look up and see who's around and take some interest in there. Not all of them do, but most of them do. But he did nothing. He just laid there.
Who was inside the room?
You have the team warden, which is manning the phone. You had an FDLE officer to my right, and then you had another officer to the left that was observing. So you had 3 in the room.
Was there anything holding him down?
Oh, yes. He was tightly secured. There was a sheet over him, so you don't see how he's tightly, but you look at the arms, and they're wrapped, and he's strapped.
Did you find it unusual that, because I know usually in these cases, usually the victim's relatives, they will appear, they will witness the execution. But in this case, none of the victim's relatives were there. Was that a bit unusual?
No, but then again, this happened in Panama City, which is over 300 miles. You're talking about 30 years. So some of the people that were originally in the case may not be around now. So you're talking at the second layer of the victims' families.
I think you meant to say Flagler County.
Flagler County, yeah, I'm sorry. The Panama City is the next one. But still, it takes a lot of effort to wait 30 years or 25 years to see a man die that killed a relative of yours, whether it's a father, a son, a daughter, or a member. So, no, it's not unusual to see something like that to come out, and it's just the DOC to give the last press conference.
And I have to ask, how many years of this, of witnessing executions, have you done this? How many years?
My first case was Ted Bundy.
Since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976, Gaskin's death was the state's 101st execution. On Florida's death row, which is situated at Florida State Prison, some 40 miles southwest of Jacksonville, there are an additional 297 inmates. For the month of May, there are currently 2 scheduled executions, Richard Glossip and newly added Daryl Barwick. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.